Okay, so everyone is talking about AI, but let's be real, the hype can be a little overwhelming. Today, we're going to cut through all that noise. We are going to map out the real practical journey companies are actually taking to transform themselves, moving from just playing around with experiments to a full-blown AI strategy. Let's dive in. First things first, let's talk about why this transformation really isn't optional anymore. This isn't just another tech trend, it's a massive economic shift. The whole push for AI is being driven by a measurable and, frankly, a staggering productivity boom. And the numbers? They don't lie. So, that brings us to the big question, right? We hear about it constantly, but how much is AI actually changing the way we work, like right now? Let's take a look at the data. Check this out. According to a massive global study by PwC, industries that are the most exposed to AI, they're seeing 3 times higher growth in revenue per employee. Just let that sink in for a second. That's not a small jump. That's a threefold increase in productivity. And listen, this isn't just a Silicon Valley thing. We're talking a full 100% of industries are ramping up their use of AI. I mean, everyone. Even sectors you might not expect, like mining and construction. This is a totally universal shift. So here's where it really hits home. In these jobs that are heavily involved with AI, the skills that employers are looking for are changing 66% faster than in other roles. That's a fundamental reshaping of the entire workforce, and it's happening right under our feet. It's creating this urgent need for companies to adapt. With that kind of pressure and that kind of potential, companies have a pretty clear destination in mind. They're all trying to become what's known as an AI-first company. But what does that actually mean? You know, an AI-first operating model is about way more than just using a few new tools. It's about embedding artificial intelligence into the very DNA of the business. We're talking everything from top-level decisions and daily workflows all the way to how teams are built and how they even talk to customers. Now, that sounds like a huge concept, I know, but we can actually break it down into 3 foundational pillars that we're going to see again and again through this whole journey: how people's jobs change, how you measure success, and how the people in the organization actually adapt to it all. Think of these as the building blocks of the whole transformation. So, if AI first is the destination, how in the world do you get there? Well, it's not a single leap. You can't just flip a switch. It's a journey. And lucky for us, there's a clear 4-stage roadmap that companies are following, moving from these tiny experiments to a complete cohesive strategy. And here they are, the 4 stages of that journey: experimental, functional, integrated, and finally strategic. You can kind of think of this as a maturity model. Let's break down how this whole thing builds, starting with stage 1. Okay, pretty much every company starts right here, in the experimental stage. At this point, AI is basically a cool science project, right? It's kind of isolated within the engineering teams. As you can see from our pillars, people's jobs are still the same, and success is measured by purely technical things, like how accurate a model is. There's no real connection to business goals yet. It's all very ad hoc and siloed off. Stage 2, the functional stage, is where things start to get really interesting. This is the first big shift. AI is no longer just an experiment, it's actually starting to support specific workflows. You can see roles are beginning to change. People are now monitoring the AI or handling the complex cases that it can't solve. And crucially, its performance is now being linked to real business metrics. So let's make this feel real. Imagine a customer support agent. Let's call him John. Before, he was just overwhelmed with the same repetitive questions over and over. Now, in the functional stage, an AI chatbot handles all those simple queries. And that means John's value isn't in answering basic questions anymore. It's in being a complex problem solver. He steps in for the tricky situations that require real empathy and critical thinking. In the integrated stage, AI finally breaks out of its silo. It's not just in the engineering department anymore. It's being embedded across different business functions, and that requires a whole new way of working. Looking at our pillars, you can see roles evolving into these cross-functional squads, with managers basically acting like product owners for AI tools. And governance gets serious, with formal rules for accountability and what to do when things go wrong. And finally, we arrive at the destination, the strategic stage. At this point, AI isn't just supporting the business, it's driving it. The entire way the company operates adapts. We start to see completely new roles emerge, things like AI trainers, and the metrics get way more sophisticated. They're measuring things like the quality of human-AI collaboration. The culture itself shifts to support this whole new way of working.
To really picture this, let's meet Amina, an information analyst. In this strategic stage, she doesn't do the grunt work of research anymore. Instead, she instructs a team of AI agents to go gather data and draft up reports. This frees her up to focus on the super high-value work that only a human can do, interpreting the findings, crafting strategy, and building relationships with clients. Her expertise is amplified, not replaced.
So let's just pause for a second and look at this whole journey. On the left, where we started, AI is a siloed tech experiment. On the right, where we're going, AI is a core business driver. It's embedded across the entire organization with roles and metrics totally redesigned around it. I mean, the transformation is just profound. It's night and day. And that brings us to maybe the most important question of all. What does all of this mean for you? For your career, for your skills, for your future in the workplace? Look, contrary to a lot of the fear-mongering out there, the data suggests a very different story. The main driver here isn't just about reducing staff. It's about augmenting the people you already have, making every single worker more valuable and more productive. And I think this quote from Matt Wood at PwC just puts it perfectly. AI amplifies expertise. It doesn't replace your ability to think, it makes you a better thinker. It's a tool that enhances our most human qualities, our judgment, our creativity, and our ability to solve really complex problems.
So I'll leave you with this final thought. This change is happening, and it is happening fast. The jobs of tomorrow will look different. So the question isn't if your industry is going to transform, but how. And maybe more importantly, what new skills will you build to thrive in it?